Today I'm going to be going through the brand strategy one more time. Last time I did a draft, but since then I added two more things. I added a summary card and a roadmap. And in the previous video I did typography design. I kind of figured out which fonts I'm going to use. But before I can continue with any other designs, I really need to lock in the strategy, because otherwise it's kind of all over the place. What I'm talking about specifically is I can't really choose the shape and the packaging unless I know exactly what the brand is gonna be like. One small change since last time, I remembered and realized that I do have a logo already made. Let me open it up. A year ago, I was on a trip, and I wrote something like this on an iPad, and it became my signature for documents. And I do consulting, so I needed this. It sit in my drawer for like a year, and then I turned it into a signature, just digitalized it, turned it into a vector graphic that I can use, and that became my logo, my signature symbol that I use in my business. And then after I made the draft, I had the initially I thought I'm gonna be using this as a logo for the brand, but then I remembered, wait, but I do have a signature, and this brand is kind of related to me as a person, me as a perfumer, me as an artist. So why would not I use this? I do like it. It is uniquely mine, and this would work nicely on a perfume bottle as well as a minimal symbol. Where I'm going to use this, that's still a question, but the fact is that the signature is way better for the logo than just using the initials. Before I go into the summary card, I'm going to quickly go over the roadmap. This is an added page that I added to this template, and the purpose is to show kind of the launch timeline. So right now we're in the strategic build phase. After that, we're going to build a brand book, then the bottle prototype. Then we're going to do an IFRA check. It's a manual check, it's not the paid one. Then we're going to build a box prototype, calculate costs, develop the store, take photography, and then we're going to get into funding, which is going to be the step that for me personally is going to take the most time, is because right now I do not have extra funding for the launch of this brand. So I'm not sure when this is going to be completed, if it's going to be 2027, or because in order to do compliance and actually get a certificate in order to sell the perfume, I need funding. Meanwhile, I can do wish lists and pre-sell the perfume to people, although I'm not sure if I can accept money at this point yet, because for the legal reasons maybe you cannot even pre-sell it, but we'll figure that out. Right now it's just the roadmap like this. And after we got compliance, I'm going to order some more equipment and restock materials. Then we're going to blend and fill and launch. That is the roadmap for now. We'll get back to this as we go further along the roadmap. Another thing that I added to this template for my kit is this summary card that summarizes this whole document, this whole PDF into one page. It just makes it easy to understand the brand at a glance without reading the entire document if you forget something. And in this video I'm gonna fill this out. The only fragrance brand that. So this is the only statement, aka positioning. Rebel and Magician, these are the archetypes, that's alright. 140, yeah, that's also fine. RJS, the only fragrance brand where the brand is invisible by design. Okay, we'll get back to this. I need to fill out these other sections before I can do the positioning. These are the things I'm going to copy. The idea is that the summary card takes the most important parts from each of these modules and it summarizes them. I could summarize this identity by saying that we are a minimal fragrance brand built around the idea of becoming, which is the key word, becoming your future self. The brand doesn't force you to adopt its values, instead it morphs around who you are. We are not trying to look minimal. We literally strip away all that's not absolutely needed. That is how I would describe the identity of the brand. Okay, next one, let's dig deeper into the customer. My customer, they don't want to be seen wearing anything. The things I wrote here were drafts, so I may have to rewrite them right now. I have to be slightly vulnerable here and honest because The idea for this brand comes from the fact that I could not find something like this myself, and I'm building this for people like me, which means that many of the answers for these questions I can find within myself. That is why it might appear that I'm doing things that I like and I'm not doing some kind of external research, which might contradict what I've said in my educational posts on social media and also my strategy kit. This is like an exception because if you're building the brand for people like you, if you are your ideal audience, then you will find answers within yourself. But even then, you need to think not what I like, but what people like me would want this to be. That forces you to think slightly broader and not very selfishly, which I'm really trying to avoid. I'll try to edit this slightly. What am I really buying? If I were to buy this perfume, what is it that I would be buying? A version of themselves. The version that is abundant, successful, peaceful, and with good taste. I will put novelty in the end because that's not the main thing they're buying. So in a way, they are renting future. It might be weird trying to understand how this differs from you simply buying an identity. Because yes, you are buying an identity, but for this brand, it's focused towards becoming. The brand is for the builders, it's for the people who are in the process of becoming, and they know that. They just want to feel like that person already. Rented future identity. So they're not buying confirmation, they're simply renting the future identity. They're buying something that makes them feel like they have arrived. The key phrase is not I am, it is I have become. I have arrived. Finally. To be fair, saying that they're buying confirmation that they're becoming the person they want to be, that is quite accurate. Not who they are today. The scent is a physical link between now and the future. Wearing it is like putting on a uniform. It is like saying, this is the scent he would wear. This is what he would do. That is what they're really buying. They're buying a rented future identity. They're buying a confirmation that they are becoming that person. This is what they would do. They're buying alignment with the future. That's what they're buying. They're not buying a fragrance. They're buying alignment with the future self. I'll remove novelty from this field and I'll put it in the relationship with fragrance. Yes, they use fragrance to feel a certain way, not to impress. They enjoy novelty more than mastery, but still, they notice quality and they read the ingredient lists. They're not loyal to any brands, to be honest. They're loyal to themselves. This is why they don't want to wear clothes that have brands, perfumes that have brands. They understand that a brand is simply a tribe that somebody else has built. They're not loyal to brands. This is where the rebel comes in, the rebel archetype. What does quality mean to them? To them, quality does not mean expensive. It means flawless. It means thoughtful. It means exact. They distrust things that advertise loudly or explain themselves too much. That is what this customer values and believes. Next, let's do the emotional landscape. This is all about what they're feeling like. So yes, they're building something, a life, a career, a self, and they want objects that bring the future to the present. It's likely they're impatient. It is possible that they do not enjoy waiting. That's why they want to bring the future to the present. They want to bridge the gap in time where success feels impossible. The right scent makes them feel like they're moving in the right direction. The wrong scent would make them feel demotivated because what they're buying is who they're becoming. And if they buy something that they don't like, then it feels like what they're building towards is not what they want. And like they're becoming somebody they don't want to be. That's their emotional landscape. If we were to summarize this into one sentence, how would I say that? Well, what they're really buying is alignment with the future self. And I'm going to write that in the summary. That is the part I want to remember from this. Their relationship to fragrance is they appreciate novelty, aesthetics, and quality. What they value and believe. If we were to summarize this in a few sentences, I would say the most important thing is that they're not loyal to brands, they're loyal to themselves. They distrust loud advertisements. They're loyal to the self, not brands. Detail-oriented. They want to bring the future to the present. They're using scent to confirm who they're becoming. How this looks in practice. It just means that if they buy something that looks cheap, they will not look at it and think, I got a good deal. They'll think, I'm becoming somebody who buys cheap things, who cannot afford good things. That's why the price is important. That is why everything that we do here is important, that it's in alignment with who this person is. A cheap price would make them feel like they're buying cheap things, and that's not who they want to become. So it's not about the price. This is why in my kit I talk about pricing strategy and why pricing too low can damage your brand. You can learn more about it if you get the kit, because I go over this. But I hope you see the point. Let me quickly go over page 2. The primary hesitation for these people is they wonder, is this actually good? Does it actually smell good? Or is it overhyped? Is it just good packaging and marketing? Because these people have bought perfumes before that were hyped. People said this smells great. Celebrities wearing it. And then they buy it and they're like, this smells like the most generic perfume I've ever smelled. How is this even on the market? That is what they're hesitating about. If we tie this back to the bottle design, by making our bottles kind of ugly and really simple, we are pushing away the people who will judge it by how it looks. We are attracting the kind of people who will pay attention to the smell and the experience. So if somebody buys this sample 20K, right, they buy it and they tell people, this is so good, like I would wear this every day. Then somebody who is my kind of customer, they would wonder, is this actually good or is it overhyped? They would see the extremely minimal packaging. Their hesitation and skepticism would be kind of soothed when they understand that this kind of packaging would not be attracting people who just want something that looks trendy or is weird and unique. The primary hesitation for this person is, does this actually smell good or is it overhyped? Will I get bored of this? Because they've bought fragrances before and got disappointed. They're skeptical of new brands without proof. The packaging is the first thing that soothes them, is because they look at it, they see how minimal it is, and they understand people would not buy this if it didn't smell good. Because the packaging is definitely not doing the convincing. So that's hesitation 1, we're taking care of that. And hesitation 2, they're afraid that they'll get something that they don't like, and they'll get bored of it. So we give them a discovery set. We give them samples, tiny gifts. No matter what they buy, if they buy a discovery set or if they're buying the full thing, we're giving them a sample. This means that even if they buy the discovery set and they did not like any single one of them, there is one more chance that they'll find something they like. And as long as they find something that they like, they will feel like they got what they wanted. Because they understand how difficult it can be to find a fragrance that you truly enjoy. What would they say to a friend about us? It's the most minimal brand I've ever seen. It's called RJS. It's made by a perfumer and not many people know about it. They will not to try to sell the brand. They would simply be like, here it is. Smell it. See for yourself. Because the brand is not the point. The point is the smell and the experience of buying the brand, buying the bottle, all that. In my case, where I would find these people is on Instagram. Like they would be searching fashion, inspo, interiors, quite luxury, old money. They don't really follow influencers. Maybe they follow some kind of editorial accounts. But they are the ones who curate the aesthetics. They don't need somebody else to do it for them. They're most likely on Pinterest. I don't know about Reddit, but I feel like they will be on AI for sure. Because they would likely talk to AI and try to engineer their identity. They're also on TikTok, although I'm not sure about that. Because they're not really the kind of person who would buy from TikTok. But maybe on TikTok is where they would discover the fragrance. Fragrantica, I'm also not too sure about that, but for now we're gonna leave it there. How they connect to my only statement. They appreciate that the brand is invisible and they feel heard, because usually brands don't want to be invisible. And so this person feels like they've been heard and that there's finally a brand who understands what they want. One more thing to mention is that maybe the right word is not invisible, the word is transparent for the brand of RJS, because we're not trying to be invisible, We're just trying to not get in the way of the self. What I mean by that is, if you buy any perfume, usually they have some kind of branding. They have colors, they have pictures, they have all kinds of things. And for somebody who does not want to belong to any brand, that is branding, and that is like a label that they're putting on themselves mentally and emotionally. So what we want is to give them an invisible brand, or a transparent would be a better word, because the brand is still visible but it's transparent, meaning when they put it on themselves, when they get it, when they buy it, the experience of the brand does not tint and contaminate who they are themselves. What that looks like practically is, we don't want to have our bottles in tinted glass because maybe the customer does not want to associate with a pink or blue or green glass bottle. I know it may sound weird to those who are not this ideal customer, but to people like me, who are the exact people I'm talking about, to them, even a color of the glass can be a reason why they don't buy the bottle. It doesn't apply just to the bottle. It applies to the font choices, it applies to the cap, it applies to the box, it applies to the website, it applies to everything. The more we can make this brand transparent, still visible to the person but transparent, the more we are connecting to the person, the more we are giving them what they want. So let me come back here and say, we're not a minimal brand, we are a transparent fragrance brand. In the next video, we will continue with the personality and the voice for the brand.